The strange blue sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. Ava squinted against the harsh light as she checked the oxygen meter on her wrist. The reading was steady, but she knew better than to trust the equipment. On this forgotten outpost, too many things broke down here at the edge of human space. She adjusted the filter mask covering her nose and mouth, and continued her patrol along the perimeter fence. The colony of New Hope was neither new, nor particularly hopeful anymore. Just 50 humans trying to scratch out an existence on a planet that barely tolerated their presence. But it was home, or at least the closest thing Ava had to one since leaving Earth 5 years ago. The communication device at her hip crackled to life. Perimeter breach Sector 7. The voice of Mac, the security chief, announced all guards respond. Ava broke into a run, her hand reaching for the pulse rifle slung across her back. Sector 7 was on the far side of the colony, nearly a kilometer away. Whatever had breached their defenses would have plenty of time to do damage before she arrived. As she rounded the main habitat dome, she nearly collided with Kate, the colony's medic, who was also responding to the call. Any idea what it is this time? Kate asked. Keeping pace alongside her, Ava shook her head. Could be anything. Hostile locals, raiders, or just another system malfunction. The two women continued their sprint across the colony grounds, passing the hydroponic, gardens, and water reclamation facility. A small crowd had already gathered near the perimeter fence of Sector 7. Max stood at the front, his weapon trained on something beyond the barrier. Ava pushed her way through the onlookers and froze. The fence had been cut clean through a perfect circle 3 meters in diameter. Beyond it stood a being unlike any Ava had ever seen. It was tall, easily 7 feet, with limbs too long and too thin to be human. Its skin appeared metallic, reflecting the blue sunlight in prismatic patterns. The face, if you could call it that, had no discernible features except for 3 glowing orbs arranged in a triangle where eyes might be on a human. Mac kept his weapon raised. No sudden movements, he warned the gathered colonists. The alien creature made no attempt to step through the breach in the fence. It simply stood there, those 3 glowing orbs fixed on the humans. Behind Ava, someone whispered, "It's a Kalari." They finally found us. Ava had heard stories about the Kalari, an advanced species that supposedly ruled this sector of space before humans arrived. But in her 5 years on the colony, she'd never seen evidence they actually existed. Most dismissed them as myths or exaggerations. Kate stepped forward, despite Mac's warning hand. The medic had always been too curious for her own good. "It's not hostile," she said softly. "Look, it's injured." Ava looked closer and saw what Kate had noticed. A dark fluid leaked from the creature's side, pooling on the ground beneath it. The fluid hissed and bubbled when it touched the soil. "Do not approach," Mac ordered. But Kate was already moving toward the fence. The creature tilted its featureless head, watching Kate approach. When she was within 5 meters, it raised a limb. It had no hand as humans would recognize, but rather a cluster of tendrils that writhed and twisted in the air. Kate stopped advancing, but did not retreat. "I want to help," she said slowly, pointing to the creature's wound, then to herself. "I can help." The alien extended its tendril limb further. Through the breach in the fence, it reached toward Kate. The crowd gasped. Some stepped back. Mac aimed his weapon. "Don't shoot," Ava shouted, moving to stand between Mac and the alien. "Whatever this is, it's not attacking." The tendril stopped just short of touching Kate. Then from the center of the writhing mass, a small object emerged. It appeared to be a sphere about the size of a human fist, made of the same reflective material as the creature's skin. Kate hesitated, then slowly reached out to take the offered object. As her fingers closed around it, the sphere pulsed with internal light. The alien withdrew its limb and took a step backward. "What is it?" Ava asked, moving cautiously to Kate's side. Kate turned the sphere in her hands. "It's warm," she whispered, "and I think it's alive." Before anyone could respond, the alien being collapsed to the ground. The dark fluid now poured freely from its wound. "It's dying," Kate said, shoving the sphere into Ava's hands. "Without warning. Take this, I'm going to try to save it." Ava clutched the strange object as Kate ducked through the breach in the fence and rushed to the fallen alien. Mac swore loudly but made no move to stop her. The sphere in Ava's hands grew warmer, and the light within it pulsed faster. She could feel a subtle vibration against her palms, almost like a heartbeat. Kate knelt beside the alien creature, her medical kit open beside her. But it was clear she had no idea how to treat a being so fundamentally different from human physiology. The dark fluid continued to spread. The sphere in Ava's hands suddenly grew hot enough to make her gasp. It began to change shape, the material flowing like liquid metal. It spread up her arms, enveloping her hands, wrists, and forearms in a second skin of reflective material. Ava tried to drop it, but the material clung to her. She stumbled backward in panic. "Get it off," she yelled. "Mac, help me get it off." The security chief rushed to her side, attempting to pull the material away, but his hands passed through it as if it were only a projection of light. The material continued to spread, covering Ava's arms, then her shoulders and chest. A strange warmth flowed through her body, and with it came something else. Information.
Images, knowledge flooding into her mind faster than she could process. She saw stars from unfamiliar angles, planets she'd never learned about in school, vast cities suspended in the atmospheres of gas giants. She saw war destruction ships falling.
From the sky, she saw the blue sun of this very planet, but younger, more vibrant. She saw the Kalari civilization rise and fall, and she understood what the sphere was. Not a weapon, not a tool, a repository, a library, a history, and now it was becoming part of her. The material had covered her completely now from head to toe, a second skin that somehow did not restrict her movement or her breathing. Through it, she could see the world around her, but differently. Spectrums beyond human perception, open to her. She could see the electrical impulses in the colonists' bodies, the heat signatures of the buildings, the radiation from the blue sun. And she could see that the fallen Kalari was beyond saving. Ava walked toward the breach in the fence, her movements oddly fluid as if the new skin was guiding her. Kate looked up from the alien side, tears streaming down her face. "I can't help it," she said. "It's dying." Ava knelt opposite Kate and placed her transformed hands on the alien. The connection was immediate, a flow of consciousness weak and fading. Last Guardian vessel destroyed, the alien communicated directly into her mind. Others coming. Must protect the knowledge. Must survive. Images accompanied the thoughts. A massive ship approaching. This System A ship, not Kalari, but something else, something hungry. Creatures that consumed not just bodies, but knowledge, culture, history. Entire civilizations erased. The harvesters, they call themselves, the dying Kalari, projected. Find others of my kind hidden, waiting, where Ava thought back. Where are they? The alien raised a tendril to touch Ava's transformed face. The stars, the deep places, the void between worlds, the connection weakened. The Kalari was fading. "Who am I now?" Ava asked. "What have you done to me, vessel?" the Kalari responded, "bearer guardian." With that final thought, the alien went still. The three glowing orbs that served as its eyes darkened. The tendril fell limply to the ground. Ava stood slowly, aware that every colonist was staring at her. The metallic skin covering her body pulsed once with bright light, then began to retract. It flowed downward, gathering at her hands before disappearing completely beneath her skin. Only a small mark remained on her palm, a triangle of 3 dots matching the eyes of the Kalari. "What just happened?" Kate asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ava looked at the assembled colonists, then up at the blue sun that suddenly seemed different to her older satyr. "It chose me," she said. "It gave me something. Knowledge, history. A warning." She looked at Mac. "Something's coming. Something bad." Mac frowned. "You can understand that thing. It spoke to me," Ava explained. "When the material covered me, we connected. Its species is called the Kalari. They were the original inhabitants of this planet. This entire sector belonged to them once, and now," Mac prompted, "now they're nearly extinct." Ava said, looking down at the dead alien. "Only a few remain hidden somewhere, and they are running from something." The alien called them harvesters. They destroy entire civilizations, erase them completely, and they're coming here. The crowd of colonists murmured in fear. Some began backing away from Ava, as if she might be contaminated or dangerous. Kate stood up from beside the alien body. Her hands were stained with the dark fluid. "What's happening to you?" Ava looked down at her hands. The skin appeared normal, but she could feel the alien material just beneath the surface waiting, responding to her thoughts. "I'm not sure," she admitted. "But I think I'm supposed to find the other Kalari to warn them to help them." Somehow, Mac shook his head. "This is crazy," he said. "We need to contact Earth, report this. Ask for instructions." "There's no time," Ava said, suddenly certain. "The harvesters are already in the system. The Kalari showed me their ship. It will reach this planet in days, not weeks." Mac and Kate exchanged worried glances. "How do we know this isn't some kind of trick?" Kate asked gently. Some kind of alien manipulation. Ava had no answer for that. She wasn't even sure herself, but the knowledge inside her felt true. It resonated with a certainty she couldn't explain. "We need to prepare," she said. "Either to evacuate or to hide." Mac laughed. The northern ridge loomed against the pre-dawn sky, 3 jagged peaks silhouetted by the first hints of the blue sun. Ava had been walking through the night guided by instincts that were not entirely her own. The Kalari knowledge pulsed within her, mind directing her steps, revealing paths invisible to human eyes. Her body should have been exhausted after 12 hours of continuous hiking across difficult terrain. But the alien material beneath her skin seemed to energize her muscles, reducing fatigue, keeping her core temperature stable despite the bitter cold of the desert night. The twin moons had set an hour ago, plunging the landscape into darkness, but Ava's vision had adjusted, revealing heat signatures, energy patterns, and subtle variations in the electromagnetic field surrounding her. The world appeared transformed through her enhanced senses, layers of information, overlapping in beautiful complexity. She paused at the base of the ridge, drinking sparingly from her water supply. The Mawai colony would discover her absence soon if they hadn't already. Kate would worry. Mac would be furious, organizing search parties perhaps, but they would not find her. The Kalari knowledge showed her how to mask her trail, confusing even the most sophisticated tracking technology. According to the information flowing through her mind, the cave entrance lay just beyond the ridge. A hidden doorway sealed for centuries, accessible only to those carrying Kalari genetic markers, or in her case, the adaptive material, now integrated with her body. As she began climbing the ridge rock shifting beneath her boots, Ava reflected on the strangeness of her situation. 5 days ago, she had been a simple perimeter guard, a former Earth military officer seeking a quiet life on the frontier. Now she carried the legacy of an ancient alien civilization inside her, the last hope of a nearly extinct species. The climb was treacherous, loose stones and steep drop-offs threatening at every step. But her movements were precise, guided by knowledge of the terrain that had been implanted in her mind. She knew exactly where to place each foot, which handholds would support her weight. The Kalari had mapped these mountains millennia ago, and that knowledge now belonged to her. As she neared the summit, the first rays of the blue sun crested the horizon, bathing the landscape in cobalt light. Ava paused, looking back at the path she'd traveled. The colony was invisible from this height, hidden by distance and the curvature of the planet. But she could make out the faint shimmer of its defensive shield, a bubble of energy protecting the last humans on this forgotten world. Beyond the atmosphere, invisible to human instruments, the harvester ship approached. 4 days and 18 hours remained before it reached orbit. The countdown was constant in her mind, an urgent whisper beneath her conscious thoughts. Ava continued her climb, reaching the summit as the blue sun fully emerged. The view from the top was breathtaking. Vast plains stretched to the east, while to the west a massive canyon system cut through the landscape like an open wound. On the far side of the canyon, a range of mountains even taller than the ridge she stood upon rose into the clouds. Their peaks glittered with what appeared to be ice, but the Kalari knowledge informed her was actually crystallized. Atmospheric minerals, deposits of immense value to both Kalari technology and biology. The cave system she sought lay directly ahead, a steep descent, into a narrow valley, then another climb up the valley wall. Ava began picking her way down the ridge, carefully testing each foothold. The loose rocks were treacherous, threatening to trigger a slide that could carry her hundreds of meters to the valley floor. Halfway down, she froze. A movement in the valley below caught her enhanced vision. Something large was moving among the scattered boulders. Its heat signature was distinct from the surrounding rocks, pulsing with life. She crouched low, pressing herself against the ridge face. The creature emerged into a clearing. Its body was serpentine, at least 15 meters long, covered in overlapping plates of natural armor. 6 legs extended from its segmented torso, each ending in clawed appendages. Designed for digging and grasping, its head was flat and triangular, with sensory pits lining the sides where eyes might be on an earth reptile. A tunneler the Kalari knowledge supplied, one of the apex predators of this world. They hunt by sensing vibrations in the ground and detecting the electromagnetic fields generated by living organisms. Ava remained perfectly still. The tunneler paused, raising its head and sweeping it from side to side, tasting the air with a forked sensory organ. It had not detected her yet, but she knew it would soon. The descent had dislodged too many stones, created too much disturbance. The alien material beneath her skin responded to her danger, sensing her elevated heart rate and adrenaline levels. It began to flow outward, covering her in the reflective second skin, starting at her hands and spreading rapidly upward. She did not resist allowing the transformation. The metallic coating enveloped her, completely altering not just her appearance, but her biological signature. The electromagnetic field generated by her nervous system was dampened, masked by the Kalari material. The tunneler would not be able to sense her presence, but the transformation went further. The Kalari material reshaped itself around her limbs, enhancing her strength, reinforcing her skeleton. It was preparing her for combat, though she had no intention of fighting the massive predator. The tunneler suddenly turned its head in her direction, its sensory pits flaring. It had detected something, perhaps the momentary electromagnetic surge as the Kalari material activated. Ava held her breath as the creature began moving toward the base of the ridge directly below her position. The knowledge within her mind offered options: escape routes, defensive strategies, ways to kill the tunneler if necessary. The Kalari had encountered these creatures before, had studied them, hunted them, sometimes been hunted by them. Ava chose none of these options. Instead, she reached out with her transformed consciousness, connecting with the electromagnetic field generated by the tunneler's nervous system. It was rudimentary communication, not words, but impressions. The Kalari had never attempted to communicate with the tunnelers, seeing them only as animals. But Ava was human, and humans had always tried to understand. She projected calm, non-threatening. "There is nothing here. Move on." The tunneler paused, its massive head tilted in confusion. The sensory pits pulsed rapidly as it processed the unusual input. Then, to Ava's relief, it turned away, slithering back among the boulders and disappearing into the shadows of the valley. Ava waited several minutes, ensuring the creature was truly gone before continuing her descent. The Kalari material remained active, covering her body, enhancing her capabilities. She was becoming more comfortable with this second skin, understanding its functions, limitations, the ways it responded to her thoughts and needs. By midday, she had crossed the valley and begun climbing the opposite wall. Following the Kalari knowledge, she located specific geological markers, rock formations that appeared natural, but had been subtly altered centuries ago. Navigational guides for those who knew how to read them. Near the top of the valley wall, she found it, a vertical crack in the rock face, unremarkable except to those who carried Kalari memories. The entrance to the cave system. Ava approached, placing her transformed palm against the stone beside the crack. The Kalari material pulsed with light, establishing a connection with technologies hidden within the rock face. Resonance frequencies transmitted through the stone activated ancient machinery. The crack widened, stones shifting silently as a doorway. Formed cool air rushed out from the darkness beyond, carrying scents of mineral deposits and the faint metallic tang of Kalari technology Ava created. Light, a bioluminescent glow emanating from the material covering her hand. She stepped through the doorway into a narrow tunnel that sloped gently downward behind her. The stone door closed seamlessly, cutting off the blue sunlight and leaving her alone in the alien darkness. The tunnels were exactly as the Kalari memories had shown her, a complex network extending for kilometers beneath the surface, connecting vast chambers and smaller rooms. A hidden outpost from a bygone age, Ava followed the main passage downward. The walls were smooth, not natural, but precisely cut by Kalari tools. The floor, too, had been engineered flat, and even making her progress easy despite the declining slope. After 20 minutes of walking, the tunnel opened into a large chamber. The ceiling arched high overhead, supported by columns of natural stone. The walls gleamed with embedded minerals that caught and reflected the light from her transformed hand. But it was the center of the chamber that captured Ava's attention. A ship Kalari designed sleek and beautiful despite the centuries of stillness. It rested on a raised platform perfectly preserved in the controlled environment of the underground hangar. The vessel was smaller than she had expected, perhaps 30 meters in length. Its hull was made of the same reflective material that now covered Ava's body. A living metal, responsive, adaptable. The ship had no visible windows or external control systems. Its surface was seamless, unbroken by conventional entrances or hatches. Ava approached, slowly, reverently. The Kalari memories stirred, within her providing context history. The vessel was called a thought ship, designed for deep space exploration, controlled through direct neural interface. It could travel between stars without conventional propulsion, using technologies humans had not yet discovered. The colony burned against the afternoon sky. Ava crouched behind a ridge 2 kilometers from the perimeter fence, watching the destruction unfold. Her enhanced vision revealed details that would have been invisible to human eyes. The attackers moved with mechanical precision through the settlement. Their forms were vaguely humanoid, but wrong. Too angular, too efficient. Harvester scouts constructed from salvaged materials and unknown technologies. The colony's defenses had been overwhelmed quickly. The security team led by Mac had mounted resistance, but their weapons designed to repel local predators had proven ineffective against the advanced scouts. Energy weapons had barely slowed the invaders. Projectile guns had done even less from her vantage point. Ava counted at least 20 structures destroyed. The main habitat dome had been breached, its atmospheric seal compromised. Fires raged unchecked through the hydroponic gardens. The water reclamation facility had been specifically targeted, suggesting the scouts understood human vulnerabilities. But it was the colonists themselves that made Ava's blood run cold. The scouts weren't killing them. They were taking them. Dozens of humans were being herded toward a vessel that had landed in the center of the colony, a collection vessel, designed for living specimens. The Kalari knowledge supplied context. The harvesters studied species before consuming them, examined biology, psychology, social structures, learning everything before erasing it all. The scouts were gathering samples. The humans would be analyzed, cataloged, their knowledge extracted before the main harvester ship arrived. Ava's hand tightened around the pulse rifle she'd taken from a fallen colonist during her approach. The weapon was useless against the scouts, but its familiar weight provided comfort, a connection to her human side. As the Kalari material continued its gradual transformation of her body, she needed to act, but rushing in would accomplish nothing. The scouts outnumbered her. Their technology outmatched anything the colony possessed. Even with her enhanced capabilities, she could not defeat them all. The Kalari memories suggested options, strategies, tactics used in similar situations. Centuries ago, the scouts had weaknesses, exploitable flaws. Their networked consciousness meant disrupting one could confuse many. Their sensory systems, though advanced, could be overloaded. Their power sources could be destabilized, but any plan required resources, tools, weapons. Ava had only herself and the increasingly adaptive alien material integrated with her body. A movement near the northern edge of the colony caught her attention. A group of colonists was fleeing, keeping low using the settlement's drainage. channels as cover. Among them, Ava recognized Kate the medic. The group moved with purpose, not panic. Someone was leading them, guiding them away from the scouts toward the rocky terrain beyond the perimeter. Ava made her decision. She would join the survivors, first secure them, then plan a response to the scouts. The Kalari knowledge within her was the colony's best hope now, perhaps humanity's best hope. She circled wide around the settlement, avoiding open ground, staying in the shadows of rock formations. Her transformed body moved with silent efficiency. The Kalari material dampened her heat signature, masked her electromagnetic field, making her nearly invisible to the scouts' sensory systems. It took 20 minutes to reach the fleeing colonists. They had stopped in a narrow ravine defensible with limited access points. Kate was tending to wounded. A man Ava didn't recognize stood guard at the ravine's entrance. Ava approached carefully. The Kalari material retracted, partially revealing enough of her face to be recognized. She didn't want to frighten the already traumatized survivors. Kate saw her first. The medic's eyes widened in recognition, then narrowed with suspicion. Ava could hardly blame her. The changes were becoming more pronounced. Her eyes now shimmered with metallic light. Her skin bore faint patterns that shifted and flowed with her movements. She was less human with each passing hour, Kate whispered, lowering the improvised weapon she'd been holding. "Where have you been? The colony was attacked hours ago. We thought you were dead." Ava moved closer, taking in the survivors, 11 people including Kate. Most bore injuries, burns, lacerations, signs of desperate fighting. 3 were unconscious, their breathing shallow. "I found what I was looking for," Ava said, her voice carrying unfamiliar harmonics, an effect of the Kalari transformation. "But I was too late." "I'm sorry." Kate studied her expression, searching for the friend she had known. "What happened to you?" "Out there," Ava hesitated, uncertain how much to reveal. The Kalari memories advised caution. Humans feared difference, rejected the unknown. But these people needed hope, needed to understand what they faced. "I've changed. Kate, I'm still me. Still Ava. But I'm something else too. The alien, the Kalari, it gave me knowledge abilities." She held up her hand, allowing the metallic material to flow over her skin, demonstrating its response to her will. "And I know what's attacking us." The man guarding the entrance had turned. At their conversation, his face hardened at the sight of Ava's transformation. "Those things, they came right after you disappeared," he accused. "Some think you led them here." "No," Ava said firmly. "They're scouts, advance forces for the harvesters. The Kalari tried to warn us, but we didn't understand in time. The main ship is still coming. It will reach orbit in 4 days." Kate looked from Ava to the other survivors, then back, the questions evident in her expression. "How do you know this? What does it mean? For us, what can we do?" Ava knelt beside a wounded colonist, a young woman with severe burns along her right side. The Kalari material flowed from Ava's fingers, extending toward the injury. She asked. The woman nodded weakly, too exhausted for fear. The material made contact, analyzing the burn tissue damage infection risk. Ava felt the information as sensations rather than data. The material responded, drawing heat from the wound, accelerating cellular regeneration, providing antimicrobial protection. Wasn't healing, not completely, but it would stabilize the injury, prevent infection, reduce pain. Ava moved from one wounded colonist to another, offering what help she could. The survivors watched with mixtures of fear, awe, and desperate hope. When she had done what she could, Ava stood addressing them all. "Those things in the colony are collection units," she explained. "They're gathering information samples, humans, for study before the main force arrives. When the harvester ship comes, it will consume everything. Not just people, but knowledge, history, culture, art, science, everything that makes humanity what it is. They erase civilizations completely, as if they never existed." The survivors exchanged glances, their fear palpable in the confined space. "Of the ravine, then, we run." Kate said, "We have the emergency shuttle. It can reach the mining outpost on the 4th moon." Ava shook her head. The scouts would detect any launch they would follow, and even if you reached the outpost, the harvester ship would find you there too. Its sensors can detect technology, human life signs across an entire system. Then what the man at the entrance demanded, bitterness in his voice. Since you seem to know everything, what do we do? I don't know everything, Ava admitted, but I know there's a way to fight. This isn't the first time the harvesters have come to this world. The Kalari fought them, resisted them. They had weapons, ships, technology. And where are the Kalari? Now someone asked. An older woman, her face streaked with blood and soot. If they had all this, why did they lose? They didn't lose completely, Ava said. They scattered. Preserved their knowledge, hid it where the harvesters couldn't find it. She touched her chest where the alien material had integrated most, completely with her vital organs. They preserved themselves in a way, waiting for the right time, the right allies. And you think that's us? The guard scoffed. Look at us, we're dying here. These things tore through our defenses like they weren't even there, Ava. Moved to the entrance of the ravine, looking back toward the burning colony. The collection ship was still there. Scouts moving methodically through the settlement, gathering technology samples, humans. There is a ship, she said finally, a Kalari vessel. Hidden in the mountains to the north, it's advanced beyond anything humans have built. It's designed to fight the harvesters. Hope flickered across Kate's face. Can you use it? Can you bring it here? Save us, Ava met her friends. Gaze, I can use it. Yes. But I can't pilot it here, not yet. The scouts would detect it immediately and call the main harvester ship. The timing has to be perfect. Then what do we do now? Kate asked. First, we save who we can. Ava said there are other survivors in the colony. People. Hiding people the scouts haven't found yet. We need to get them out. We need to gather supplies, weapons, whatever we can salvage. The guard laughed bitterly, a harsh sound in the quiet ravine. And how exactly do we do that? Those things are everywhere. They're fast, strong. Our weapons barely slow them down. Ava extended her hand, allowing the Kalari material to flow outward, covering her completely in the reflective second skin. The transformation was smoother now, more complete. The material adapted to her human form, enhancing it rather than changing it. Her eyes glowed with internal light as the Kalara's sensory capabilities fully integrated with her own. I can disrupt them, she said. Their network depends on synchronized communication. If we can capture one isolated from the others, I can interface with it, use the Kalari material to inject conflicting commands that would create confusion, give us time to move through the settlement. The survivors stared, some backing away from her transformed appearance, but Kate stepped forward, placing a hand on Ava's shoulder. The metallic skin was warm, responsive to the touch. You're still in there, aren't you? My friend, Ava nodded. The Kalari cave system stretched deeper than any of the survivors had imagined. Vast chambers connected by winding tunnels, some natural, some clearly engineered crystalline formations, cast soft blue light across ancient technology preserved in the controlled environment. Ava led the 26 humans who had survived the scouts' attack through this underground labyrinth. Their numbers had grown as search parties found more colonists hiding in the ruins or fleeing across the barren landscape. 3 days had passed since the collection ship departed. 3 days of desperate planning, gathering supplies, salvaging technology from the ruined settlement. 3 days for Ava to learn more about the Kalari vessel and the transformation happening within her body. The survivors had established a base camp in one of the larger chambers. Kate had organized a medical station, treating injuries with limited supplies. The wounded were recovering, though some would bear scars, both physical and psychological. For whatever remained of their lives, Ben had taken charge of security, positioning guards at key access points. Though the Kalari knowledge assured Ava that the cave system was undetectable to harvester sensors, Ava stood before the Kalari ship, studying its sleek contours. The survivors gave it a wide berth, most still uncomfortable with the alien technology despite their circumstances. They looked at Ava with similar expressions, mixtures of hope, fear, and uncertainty. The changes in her appearance had become impossible to hide, impossible to ignore. The Kalari material had integrated completely with her biological systems. She could still appear mostly human when she chose, but even then, Subtle differences remained. Her eyes shimmered with metallic light. Her skin bore flowing patterns that shifted with her moods. Her movements had become too precise, too fluid when she spoke. Harmonics underlay her words, sounds beyond human hearing that carried additional meaning. Kate approached, carrying a datapad, one of the few pieces of technology they had salvaged that still functioned. The medic had adapted to Ava's transformation better than most, perhaps because she viewed it through a clinical lens. A biological process, rather than something supernatural or threatening. Sensor data from the settlement's emergency beacon shows the harvester's ship will reach orbit in 18 hours. Kate said, earlier than expected. The collection ship's data must have accelerated their approach. Ava nodded, processing this information. The Kalari memories had warned that contact between scouts and the main harvester vessel often resulted in adjusted timetables. The collection data creating hunger in the vast consciousness that drove the harvesters. Is the ship ready? Kate asked, gesturing toward the Kalari vessel. Have you figured out how to use it? Ava turned to her friend. The question was more complex than Kate could understand. The ship was ready. Yes, its systems functional, its energy reserves at capacity, but using it would require more than simply piloting the vessel. The neural interface went deeper than control systems. It would require complete integration, a melding of consciousness. The Kalari memories were clear about what this meant, what it would cost. Yes, Ava said simply. It's ready. Kate studied her expression. The medic had become adept at reading Ava's increasingly alien features. But you're not telling me everything. Are you? Ava gestured toward a secluded alcove away from the other survivors. Kate followed. The two women sat on smooth stone benches, ancient Kalari design, ergonomic despite the centuries. The Kalari built these ships for a specific purpose. Ava explained. They're not just transportation or weapons, they're an extension of Kalari consciousness. To pilot one properly, I need to connect completely, merge with its systems. Kate frowned. Not like when you accessed it before. That was surface level. Ava said basic functions, sensor, data, limited connection. This, she gestured to the ship, will be complete integration. My consciousness, the Kalari material, the ship becoming a single entity. And what happens to you? Kate asked the question, gentle but direct. What happens to Ava? Ava looked down at her hands. The Kalari material flowed beneath her skin, visible as shifting patterns of light and shadow. She had been asking herself the same question. The Kalari memories offered no comforting answers. Only necessity. Purpose, duty. I don't know, she admitted honestly. Ill still exist but changed, more Kalari than human perhaps, but with human perspective, human emotions, human connections. Kate reached out, taking Ava's transformed hand in her own. The contrast stark. Human skin against something not quite flesh anymore. But the connection remained. The friendship that had formed over 5 years of shared struggle on this forgotten world. Is there another way? She asked. Ava shook her head. The harvesters are too powerful for conventional resistance. Their ship is massive, beyond anything humans have built. The Kalari fought them for centuries, developed specific countermeasures, strategies, weapons. The Thought ship is designed to exploit weaknesses in harvester defenses, but it requires a guardian to pilot it. A guardian. Kate repeated the term Ava had used to describe her new role. That's what you are? Now Ava nodded. What I'm becoming? Kate squeezed her hand, then released it, standing with the determined expression Ava recognized from countless medical emergencies in the colony. Well, if you're going to pilot an alien ship to save what's left of humanity, you should probably get some rest first. Even guardians need sleep. Ava smiled, appreciating Kate's practical approach, her refusal to dwell on philosophical questions of identity and transformation when survival demanded action. But sleep was becoming increasingly unnecessary. The Kalari material optimized her cellular functions, repaired damage, managed fatigue without the need for unconsciousness. I'll try, she promised as. Kate returned to the medical station. Ava moved deeper into the cave system, following pathways revealed by Kalari memories. The tunnels led downward to chambers, even the survivors had not yet discovered. Places where the last Kalari had left more than just a ship. They had left preparations. The chamber she sought was sealed with technologies similar to the cave entrance. Ava placed her palm against the stone wall, allowing the Kalari material to interface with hidden systems. The rock face shimmered, then dissolved, revealing a vast circular room. Unlike the natural formations of the other chambers, this room was perfectly engineered, every surface smooth polished, the floor inlaid with patterns of unknown materials that glowed with soft light. In the center of the chamber stood a raised platform surrounded by crystalline structures, each taller than a human. Ava stepped inside. The door sealed behind her. The crystals responded to her presence, illuminating with increasing intensity. Their light seemed to penetrate her physical form, reaching into the Kalari material integrated with her biology. This was the Ascension Chamber, the place where the final transformation would occur, where a guardian would fully embrace their purpose. The Kalari memories had been reluctant to reveal this place, protective of the knowledge it represented. The risks it posed. Ava approached the central platform. The crystals pulsed in rhythm like a heartbeat, responding to her proximity. Their light changed color, shifting through spectrums beyond human perception. The Kalari material within her resonated with the energy they emitted. Recognition, acceptance, purpose. She understood now why the memories had been guarded. The chamber was not just a place of transformation, it was a point of no return. What would emerge would retain Ava's memories, her core identity. But the balance would shift. The Kalari aspect would predominate. Human limitations would fall away, replaced by capabilities beyond human understanding. And yet someone needed to pilot the ship. Someone needed to face the harvesters. The survivors hiding in the caves would die otherwise. The colony would be erased from history. Humanity catalogued, studied, consumed. Ava stepped onto the platform. The crystal light engulfed her. The Kalari material responded, flowing outward, covering her completely, then shifting, changing, its molecular structure reorganizing in response to the chamber's energies. The transformation that had been gradual over days now accelerated. Her consciousness expanded. Memories not her own became clearer, more accessible. The history of the Kalari, their art, philosophy, science, technology, their centuries of conflict with the harvesters, their desperate, final plans, their hopes for the guardians they would create. Ava gasped as her perception shifted. Extended beyond normal dimensions, the cave system appeared as layers of reality superimposed. The physical stone, the energy fields, the quantum fluctuations, all simultaneously visible. She could sense the survivors, their bioelectrical signatures, their neural patterns, their genetic codes. The crystal light intensified, reaching a blinding crescendo, then suddenly cut out, plunging the chamber into darkness. Ava stood transformed. Her body retained humanoid shape, but the resemblance to human form was now an aesthetic choice rather than biological necessity. The Kalari material had replaced cellular structures with something more adaptive, more resilient. She could reshape her form at will, adapt to different environments, hostile conditions. Her senses extended across multiple dimensions of reality. Her thoughts processed at speeds impossible for organic brains. She was Ava, still the human woman who had come to this colony seeking peace after military service on Earth. Her memories remained intact. Her emotions, though modulated by new understanding, still fundamentally human. But she was also Kalari now, a guardian keeper of ancient knowledge, protector of civilizations against consumption. 1 year had passed since the destruction of the harvester ship. The colony of New Hope had been rebuilt, not as it was, but as something new, something more. A blending of human ingenuity and Kalari knowledge. The survivors had grown in number as automated distress signals reached other outposts, bringing curious settlers, scientists, researchers. Those brave enough or desperate enough to make a home on this once forgotten world. The new structures rose from the plains, gleaming in the blue sunlight. Not the utilitarian habitats of the original colony, but flowing architectures that worked with the planet's harsh environment, rather than against it. Energy shields modeled after Kalari designs protected against radiation storms, water. Reclamation systems operated at efficiencies previously thought impossible. Hydroponics gardens produced abundant food with minimal resources. At the center of the new settlement stood a building unlike the others, a perfect dome of shifting metallic, material that responded to sunlight, to weather, to the very thoughts of those who entered it. The Guardian's Temple, the colonists called it. Though Ava preferred simpler terms, a meeting place, a nexus, a bridge between human and Kalari knowledge, Kate approached the dome, her medical uniform now accented with patterns inspired by Kalari designs. The medic had become the primary liaison between the transformed Ava and the growing human population. Her scientific mind best equipped to translate between increasingly divergent modes of thought. The dome rippled as Kate neared an entrance forming, welcoming her inside. Within, the space was larger than external dimensions suggested, the Kalari understanding of spatial relations not limited by human perceptions. Ava waited in the center. The year had brought further changes to her transformed body. She appeared human when she chose to, but more often existed in a state between forms, her physical presence shifting, adapting to her needs and purposes. Sometimes solid, sometimes barely corporeal. Her consciousness extended beyond conventional limitations, perceiving realities layered upon the visible world. Kate, my friend Ava, greeted, her voice carrying harmonics that created not just sound, but emotional resonance, connection, understanding, warmth. The science team has completed their analysis of the harvester fragments, Kate said, getting directly to business as was her way. The results are concerning, Ava nodded, having already perceived this conclusion through her extended awareness. The debris field in orbit contained pieces of the destroyed harvester vessel, samples of technology that had survived the collapse. Human scientists had been studying them for months, trying to understand the threat that had nearly consumed their colony. Show me. Ava requested. Kate activated a holographic projector, the technology itself a blend of human design and Kalari principles. Above her palm appeared a three-dimensional image of a fragment analysis, data scrolling alongside it. The molecular structure is repairing itself, Kate explained. Slowly but definitely, the damaged components are reconnecting, reorganizing. Self-healing technology was not unexpected. The Kalari memories had warned of this. The harvesters were adaptable, resilient. Their physical forms designed to recover from almost any damage. What concerns us, Kate continued, is the pattern of the regeneration. The fragments are attempting to establish communication with each other. This was more troubling. Ava studied the data, her perception extending beyond the visual representation, sensing the quantum states, the probability fields, the underlying patterns. They are attempting to rebuild, she confirmed. Not the entire vessel, that would be impossible with so few fragments, but something smaller, something capable of transmitting. A beacon. Kate nodded. Our conclusion as well. The fragments, if allowed to continue, would eventually form a distress signal, a call to other harvester vessels. Ava had been expecting this. The Kalari memories contained warnings. The destruction of a harvester was never final, never complete. Always there remained the risk of resurrection, communication continuation. The hunger for knowledge, for consumption, transcended physical destruction. I will deal with the fragments, Ava said. The colonists should not attempt further study. The risk is too great. Kate accepted this with the pragmatism that had made her invaluable during the rebuilding. There was a time when humans would have ignored such warnings, driven by curiosity, by the desire to understand, to harness such technology. But the colonists of New Hope had seen the results of such hubris, had faced extinction, had been saved only through Ava's transformation and sacrifice. There is another matter, Kate added. Ben has returned from the northern expedition.